road to 100K profit on Kalshi, week 10. In review, we have officially reached the total profit of $70,000, profiting about $2,500 in the past week. But man, this has been an absolutely brutal week for me, probably the most brutal week of trading since I started this challenge. The amount of like ups and downs and variance I went through this week was kind of crazy. To recap the week, we started off feeling very confident on some culture Billboard top 100 plays for the Billboard top 10. And then we had about 15 grand tied up in some kind of bonds, I would say, that should have netted us about 2K profit. And then Billboard decided to delay the release of their rankings because I guess they were contested. There was like a dispute. That spooked the Grande top 10, which in turn spooked me. I ended up dumping out of that position, so we missed out on that profit. Of course, everything would have been fine, but we got spooked. I didn't want to risk, a lot of capital on something that wasn't as much of a bond as we thought, so we had to sell out. And then, all this stuff happened with Lane Kiffin, LSU, so Ole Miss futures started declining. Granted, that wasn't a big chunk, but that hurt us like $1,000 for really nothing substantively that changed, but whatever. And then on the mention side, we got cooked on some mention markets around Trump. We lost the NVIDIA earnings call, we lost like 750, then I lost 300 on some Trump mentions. Granted, I'm up overall this week, definitely on mentions, but just had a brutal run of mention markets. And then lastly, the most brutal was the Thursday Night Football announcer mention. I made a big play on Super Bowl mention at 92 cents. So I would only ever play something like that if I felt like it was like a 95 plus, 98% likelihood. And based on the data I had, I thought Super Bowl was pretty much a lock to be mentioned in Thursday Night Football. They did not mention it. So I lost almost $1,500 on a 92-cent yes strike that I took. Again, I feel like based on the data information I had at the time, it was a good play, but maybe it wasn't. I mean, obviously it lost, but could just be chalking it up to variance, but pretty brutal loss on Thursday night after everything that had happened this whole week. But we kept clawing. I kept trying to just get my mental straight after dealing with some brutal variance. And we recovered. So ended up still up on the week about 2,500. Can't complain, but I really want to start sizing up more and just making more. Like, I'm not happy with 2,500, and the opportunities I saw this week, I'm also a little upset about. There were two big plays that I had very strong conviction on that were kind of in my wheelhouse, but they were a very sudden moment that, I had to be a big contrarian in the moment with only maybe 1 to 5 minutes to make a decision before the price would move. The first play I entered a small position on, it was an AI model market when Gemini 3 released. So I made about $1,000 off of that. So that was great, but I had the opportunity to size up more, and there was really no reason that I should not have sized up larger. I mean, I took a pretty small position, only about $1,500. There was about 3,000 available. So I definitely should have sized up more. I need to kind of think about that more and be willing to size up in spots like that. And then another instance in the Mr. Beast video release. I don't know if anyone traded that market, but that released Saturday afternoon. There was dispute on the water strike, on if water was mentioned. I heard where water was mentioned. I had pretty high conviction that it was not Mr. Beast who had said water. And there were about 10,000 shares that you could take at 12 cents because a market maker seemed to think it was like certainly Mr. Beast saying it. I talked to some other people. They kind of told me they think there was Mr. Beast. So I just was like, all right. I didn't even take a small position on it. It ended up flipping. It wasn't Mr. Beast. So I had opportunity to turn $1,200 into about 10 grand that I hesitated on. I could have at least taken a small position. I don't know why. So in summary, okay, I want to start taking some bigger shots. I want to stop worrying about this being a weekly thing, because since I do these weekly update videos, it causes me to play a little safer because, if I'm up 2,500 on the week, I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable. Maybe don't take any risks. Then I could just have a profitable week. But I need to zoom out because I want to have, I know the opportunities of how much I can run this stuff up with the spots that I see. So try to not view this as a weekly thing in my mind. I want to size up more, take more variance. So expect in the next few weeks, if I'm doing stuff right, you should see some big losing weeks and also some huge winning weeks, hopefully. So I need to be more aggressive in spots, and I want to, size up when I have high conviction, take more risks. So TLDR, we're going to be taking more risks in the coming weeks. The other thing, I really want to expand outside of mention markets. I know I'm like known as the mention market guy, but I'm actually not that sharp on mention markets. There's a ton of new people that are like entering the space for mentions that are like way sharper than me. So not that like I necessarily think my edge is drained. Like it's still profitable for me to trade almost every mention market. So I'm going to keep doing that. But I think long term, I'd hit a ceiling with mentions. So I really want to play other markets. Culture, billboard is a big thing. Most of my trades in that honestly have just been kind of blindly tailing grande top 10. So I want to learn that space a little more myself so that, I can make trades in there, because what I frequently see in those culture markets is that there will be things going back to like when I talk about bonds in billboard markets, things like that. You'll find markets that are priced at like 80, 85 cents that really should be 95 to 99. Just based on talking with Grande, looking at some of the markets, I feel really confident in saying that. So if I can park 15 grand, 20 grand in positions like that every week, sure, there's a risk that like I said, with what happened with Super Bowls a week, that I'll blow up one time. But, obviously don't allocate my entire portfolio, but just sizing up in plays like that where there's a huge spot to, have solid EV on these big plays and you can get a good amount of money down. So I want to play those a lot more. So in summary, we're going to be expanding much more outside of mention markets. I'm going to be taking more risks, viewing this not as much as a weekly thing, but just finding my spots. So expect some more losing weeks to come. But the inverse of that, I'm going to be taking more risks, more volatility. Expect some big weeks. Okay. I want to get some 10K plus profit weeks coming. So stay tuned. And as we get close to 100K profit, maybe 75, maybe 90, I want to start streaming like, 6 to 8 hours a day, or even longer as I get super close, like to 100K. I feel like that'd be fun. I got to balance it with, I don't want to be like showing all the positions I'm entering in with like limit orders and stuff to where like I'm just going to get penny jumped to the max and not be able to really trade anything. So it's a balancing act. I want you guys to win too, but like, obviously I can't have all my shit get, taken over when I'm streaming, but stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Take care.